Discipline is your best friend. It'll take care of you like nothing else can. Jocko Willing. How you doing? Welcome to the Buckhorn Podcast. I'm Martelle, and with me always is Randy.
What is up?
Oh, that inspirational message before the show.
So inspiring.
I'm going to edit the shit out of that.
I feel inspired.
Damn. Anyway. Oh, so
another glorious day here at the Buckhorn Podcast.
It is. And we've got another glorious tasting.
Tasting.
Yes. Tasting. It tastes good. So, this one is Virgil Kaine.
Dum, dum, dum.
I love Virgil Kaine. This one was hard to get.
They should send us stuff to sample.
They're not going to. We've tried.
Just like, well, now we've got Two Bitch has.
Two Bitch and
Catoctin has.
Catoctin. So, Virgil Kaine is one of my favorites. I go out of my way to get Virgil Kaine. I drove
7 years.
No, I'm trying to figure out. So I drove, 8 hours, 4 hours, whatever the drive is down to South Carolina.
Yeah, it's like 8.
8 hours. So I drove 8 hours down to Myrtle Beach to turn around and drive 2.5 more hours inland to go visit a buddy of mine. And we met halfway. He lives 4 hours from Myrtle Beach in Spartanville he lives in Simpsonville, sorry, to pick up this bottle.
Okay.
And this bottle is hard to get. Like, they don't make it anymore. It's one of their limited offers.
Oh, so this is done.
This is done. Like,
oh, no
never
wonder you
again.
don't want to share it.
So, it's not that I don't want to share it. It's just that I have to be frugal with it. So this is Virgil Kaine's Electric Owl. This is a sour mash, straight bourbon whiskey, finished in Damn it! Why can't? My tongue is just in the way. Finished in Pinot. It's good. I'm done.
Let's just cut your tongue out.
I just done talked too much.
You done did it.
This bottle retails for like $109.
Retailed for $109. I got it for $99. I saved a whole $10. It is super smooth. I have barely had any out of this bottle. Like, yeah, it's still pretty full.
It's had an equivalent to a pour out of it at this point because I've taken just a little bit out here and there.
So I Googled because I was trying to figure out what you were trying to read off the bottle. It's a 9-year-old sour mash. They produce just 3,000 bottles total.
Yes, and this is bottle 1,034.
It's in collaboration with Revelry Brewing, with the barrels used to finish. They were previously aging Revelry's Wild American Ale.
Oh, it doesn't say that on this bottle.
And the ale barrels had been previously used to age Oregon Pinot Noir.
There you go, Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir.
Noir. It was Pinot that was freezing up my tongue. I was going to say fucking, but I said it anyway.
So, for those before we get somebody saying this isn't bourbon, it says right here on a third-party reviewer, bourbon produced anywhere in the U.S., mash bill of at least 51% corn, aged in new charred oak barrels. The cask type, it was finished in barrels which held both Pinot Noir, and ale.
Yes.
So this is very unique.
This is a very, very...
No wonder they only made 3,000 of them.
Very limited and hard to get. Just the cask barrels that they finished in. So, I've been looking for 2 years for this bottle, hoping that I would still be able to find one, and lo and behold, I found one. He said when he picked it up that there were like 4 bottles of this.
You should have got them all.
I didn't have $400.
You should have texted me and
enough to get one bottle. He picked a bottle up for himself and then proceeds to tell me that this is better than Roundhouse. So we've had Roundhouse.
Yeah, I think I give Roundhouse like a 4, 4.5. I was pretty high on Roundhouse.
Both really high on Roundhouse.
It was up
so
there.
I've tasted this. I have my thoughts on it. You have a little sample glass over there for yourself to taste.
Yep, I got
and
a
we're
little
gonna
sipper.
do 2 separate tastings on this.
Okay.
We're going to do it straight, and we're going to do it with water.
I might need a lot more.
It's a sip. It's a tasting.
All right, I'll give it a little sip here. Neat.
So the neat, on the nose, you're...
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh, that's good smelling.
You're getting toffee, vanilla, some leather. You're getting some butterscotch.
Yeah,
You're
the
getting
butterscotchy. That's
a little bit of the baking spice. It's
like I'm literally
got
putting my nose in the little
everything.
snifter.
It's got everything. I mean, it hits every facet of everything that
smells
you and
like-
I like.
I'm trying to remember. It smells like a certain candy from my childhood.
It smells like a spicy,
Like it's got one of those toffee candies mixed in or something.
like it almost has, almost like a Heath bar without the chocolate, the toffee portion of the Heath bar.
It smells great.
So,
All right, I'm going to take a little tiny sip.
go for it. Let me know what you think.
That's good.
Is it? I should say, isn't it?
That's real good. Yeah. That's got burn. That's a high octane, ain't it?
This one,
We're near at 100.
this one it's 50. Yeah. 50.05%.
Percent. So it is 100 proof.
It is 100 proof. I thought it was 58 there for a second. It's 100.1 proof.
Yeah, it's 100 proof. I can
it's
tell it's
100
100 proof.
So it's higher than most everything else they have out there because everything is right around.
But man, is that smooth.
It is really good.
Like I want to taste more, but I don't because you said I have to make
Where?
2 sips because I have to add water. So
You have to add water with the next one.
it's got great legs, man. Look at that.
It's,
Look at mine.
yeah,
Can you see it around the?
yeah. It hangs out.
Absolutely beautiful.
The Keller is
Keller?
great. The color.
The Helen Keller.
Color.
Yeah, it's a dull amber.
Color's great on it. Looks like there should be a little mosquito hanging out and some amber so we can make more dinosaurs. But
Dude, the smell, I can't get over the smell. I want a candle that smells like this.
right, yeah.
Fantastic.
I want candle, I want soap, I want hand lotion.
I'm kind of upset they only made 3,000 of these.
2 years ago. They're still out there to find. That's the thing. Like, finding it is damn near impossible.
Are they? Does your buddy still have them by his house?
I would have to ask him if there's any available.
You need to find out.
I can find out. But even for me to get it from him, like I bought this in January and didn't get it till June or December, somewhere like December, January. I didn't pick it up until June when I was down in South
Have them
Carolina.
ship it.
Can't ship it. It's illegal.
No, it's only illegal if you get caught.
Right. I wasn't willing to lose $100.
Dude, this stuff's great.
It's fantastic.
This is good. Just drinking it neat, a little tiny sip. I kind of wish I could take like full. Like I want a glass of this.
Right.
You know, I'm not supposed to be drinking on my 75-day challenge, so I'm taking like enough to wet my lips.
So
And then you said throw a little splash of water in there.
just take a little bit of a straw's worth of water, let it drip in there, and see how it changes it.
That was a very little bit of water, but I've got a very little bit of.
You got a little bit
here.
of you got a taster's worth. It even changes up the smell just a little.
It mellows out the spice
Yeah.
on the smell. But oh, that's money.
Yeah, right?
That's money.
So,
Oh, that opens up the flavor so much.
if we were to put this up against a Roundhouse, because we're doing limited run for limited run,
Yeah.
this easily beats out Roundhouse for me. And Roundhouse was good. I loved Roundhouse.
This is one of my favorite we've tried.
Yeah.
I feel very confident in rating this right now. Out of my 5 donuts, I'm giving this one a solid 4.5.
So this one,
this is up there.
This sits right there with Roundhouse for you.
Yeah,
this one sits.
I think I was 4.5 Roundhouse. I would put this. I'm not giving it a 5.
Well,
only because availability,
it
and price,
super limited available,
right?
And it's the
my
same
my
price
5-star.
as Jefferson Ocean.
I can find here at that price point.
Technically, you can't. Voyage 3
you can, but you can still find Jefferson's Ocean.
Right.
Is what I'm saying. Which each one of those runs technically is its own limited run.
Right.
But you can still find the next run. This is done.
This is done.
So Virgil Kaine, very well done. 4.5 out of 5 donuts on this. This is phenomenal.
Yeah,
absolutely phenomenal. I wish I could have more of it. Like,
I wish I could have more of it.
Well, yeah, this is absolutely magical.
I limit myself with this. Like, I've had it since June. I've had as much as I've had as much as I've given you, and that's it. So this is
which is barely a taste. I mean, your bottle's about full.
Yeah, the bottle is still has that. I mean, that's a pour's worth out of the bottle total now.
Total, yeah,
and that's it. Like. But it is amazing. So, if you can find this, you're out and about, and you find it, ideally, pick it up. Buy it. Buy as many as you can, and send us a bottle.
Right. Good stuff, man.
Because we're the ones who told you about it.
Yeah.
It's only fair.
You owe us that at least.
It's a finder's fee.
Right. Basic business.
Pretty much. The taste, the mouthfeel, everything hits the mark on this. It is not, after you put just a little bit of water in it, it breaks it down, opens it up. The taste becomes that much more explosive in your mouth.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
You still get the vanilla, you still get the toffee, you still get butterscotch. That slight hint of, I tasted, it's like a leathery, like,
I don't know how to explain it.
But it's like adult candy.
It's very good.
It's adult candy. That's what it is.
Highly recommend. Good job, Virgil Kaine.
Knocking it out of the park with another limited run.
That's exactly the words I was just about to say. Knocked it out of the park with that one.
I mean, I just wish that it wasn't so hard to find.
Yeah.
Like I said.
Well, I mean, here in Ohio, we can't get any of it.
We can't get it, but I searched for 2 years finding it, and I've had other people looking for it in South Carolina for me. And it's taken 2 years for me to find it.
Right.
So.
Very, very well done.
Very well done.
I like it.
Love it.
Oh, I about burped in the mic.
Yeah, don't do that. So
I'm trying not to.
I have a lot left because I've literally just been taking little itty bitty sips. So good. So good. All right. Anyway, on to the show. What do we got? You have something.
I have a few things
that you looked up that you won't tell me about.
That's right.
I can just comment on it.
Right. I didn't want you to know because I just wanted you to get some reactions. The first thing I have is just something kind of interesting. The limits of the human body.
Okay.
Just a few facts, just to get us rolling. And then we'll get into our big story. So, talking about body heat.
I'm putting off some body heat right now. This studio is a little warm.
It's stuffy in here.
I'm trying. I got.
Do you not turn your AC on in your house?
For whatever reason, this particular room doesn't get as much AC as every other room. And I've got the window open.
We need to move
I've got
the basement.
2 fans. I'm trying to move down there.
We need to build a studio.
I'm trying to move to the basement.
Y'all should send us some money. We need a Patreon to raise funds.
Or just send us Venmo, and then Patreon doesn't get any of that.
There you go.
Brandon.Martell on Venmo.
Help us build a studio. So the first one's body heat. When a person's core body temperature hits 107.6, heat stroke cannot be reversed and will prove fatal. That's the max temp.
107.6?
107.6.
I've been at like 107.5.
almost dead then.
Almost.
So, like, heat stroke, they're like, heat stroke's bad.
Back.
They can bring you back. But 107.6, that's the limit.
I've got, like, superhuman healing powers. Like, my back is already healed up. I'm done. I'm good.
So here's a limit of cold water. They used 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Water saps body heat. A person would last barely 30 minutes in a 40-degree Fahrenheit sea. That's a lot of like what happened. That's like Titanic crap.
Yeah.
Even if you can swim for hours, when it's freezing cold, you ain't going to make it.
Clinging to doors and icebergs.
Right.
Stupid Jack.
Hot air. In a burning building or a deep mine, adults can survive 10 minutes at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, although children soon succumb in a 120-degree Fahrenheit car. So an adult can survive maybe 10 minutes at 300 degrees Fahrenheit.
Makes sense.
That's really hot.
It is super hot.
120-degree car is really hot.
Right.
I mean, I could survive it for so long, but that's really hot.
I'd put the windows down in the car.
High altitude. Consciousness fades for most people at 15,000 feet. However, highland dwellers have adapted to have larger lungs and more red blood cells so they can survive.
Makes sense.
That's kind of cool to think about.
That's evolution.
It is.
Adapt and overcome.
Starvation. How many days can you go without eating?
It's like 7 to 14 days. It depends on the person.
45 days.
Oh.
If a person loses 30% of their body weight, death is imminent, although disease will probably kill a person before they have a chance to starve. So one of the survival things that's always taught, and I adapted it when I was doing Krav Maga, because they do the rule of threes.
Okay.
You can last 3 hours without shelter.
Yeah.
3 days without water.
Yeah.
3 weeks without food.
Okay.
Which is saying a little longer than 3 weeks. But that's kind of a survival rule of threes. Most people, if you find that find themselves in a survival situation, get a little hungry feeling in their stomach that they've never felt before because you're so used to when you feel hungry, you should get them get something. Right. Or you go to a restaurant or but we don't need food as much as we need, especially in a harsh environment like the desert or a frozen tundra. We need water. We need shelter.
Yeah.
Exposure to the elements is like the number one killer.
I love to expose myself to the elements.
All of them.
All the elements.
That's why you got kicked out of that Captain Planet play.
I did.
At the high school.
They were not happy with me when they said earth, wind, fire, and water.
Speaking of exposing yourself, diving deep. When diving deep without equipment, most people black out before reaching 2 minutes once they are below 60 feet. The best free diver made it to 282 feet before blacking out. That's deep, dude.
That is deep.
60 feet with no diving gear is deep.
Just the water pressure alone.
Right. Like, I used to go underwater in my grandpa's 8-foot pool and, like, lay on the bottom when we played Marco Polo and all that. 282 feet?
Well,
that's darkness.
I just watched a video of a guy dive 100. It was like it's equivalent to 100 feet, 101 feet. And you could see the water pressure on his body at that depth. Like when he's swimming, every time he'd take a stroke, his skin would flap.
That's crazy.
Because the water pressure was just pressing in on him so much.
Lack of oxygen. How long can you last?
Not that long.
Typically, a person would pass out after 2 minutes without oxygen. Yeah. Now, when we were teaching Krav, we said 3. I expanded my survival rules just to make it 3.
Does that include chloroform?
I used to say, well, you're still getting oxygen if you're chloroform. If you pass out, you're still getting oxygen.
Yeah, but someone's got to cover your face with it. You're not getting oxygen at that point.
You're just breathing it in.
Yeah, breathing in chloroform, not
That's
oxygen.
different. That's not having your oxygen cut off.
You're cutting off the oxygen with chloroform.
You're replacing.
Cut off, replace, tomato.
Tomato.
Yeah, I created a new hybrid species.
All right, well, that's fair. Typically, a person would pass out after about 2 minutes without oxygen. With training, people can hold their breath for nearly 11 minutes.
Yeah.
That makes sense because you see a lot of those escape artists do those underwater, tied up, chained up, locked up.
That's a long time to be stuck underwater.
Yeah, we used to tell people, now when we were drills where we taught, like choking or being choked, we did this thing where you had to sit in style, somebody kneel behind you, choke you out. You have your hand in the air, and you would either tap out when you feel like you're about to pass out, or if your arm dropped, they'd let you go.
Right.
You know,
or if you're a real dick, you just hold on.
Well, oxygen, you got a few minutes. We used to say 3 just so it's a rule of threes. But if you can cut the blood off in a choke, you got about 3 seconds. If you know how to choke somebody the right way and cut the blood off, it's quick. I know from experience. Thanks, JJ. I've been choked out, and I lost consciousness quickly.
We need to get him back on the show.
We do. He's in Florida now.
That's all right.
Blood loss. How much of your blood can you lose and still survive?
I don't know. Half?
Fairly close. A person can survive after losing 30% of their blood. After losing 40% of your blood, a person would need an immediate blood transfusion. So, you were close.
I didn't lose half of my blood when I was having my back surgery.
Well, that's good.
I didn't really lose any, as far as I know.
Dehydration. Every cell in a person's body needs water.
I'm super dehydrated right now.
Well, drinking that whiskey will help.
Right.
Without
dehydrate me.
Without being able to replace the quart of water a person loses per day, I sweat so much I lose way more. A person will not last more than a week at most. We used to say 3 days. And here's the thing, too. In a survival situation, we used to teach survival skills. When we say 3 days, that doesn't mean you can't live a few more days. The problem is you start losing functionality.
Right.
If you're trying to survive, build a shelter, maintain, hike, anything you're doing, you need to get shelter quickly. You need to get out of the sun, out of the rain, out of whatever the elements are. You need to get water as quickly as you can, because eventually your body, your mind needs things. Your muscles need things to function. So that's where that rule of threes come from. I used to just kind of say, just general rule of thumb for easy to remember. You got 3 seconds without blood flow, 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 days without shelter, or 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. That's kind of where you want to put your limit. That's just a nice round way of remembering things.
It's good information to know.
Yeah. So I thought I'd share that. And now we can segue.
Segue to what?
Into our story.
What's our story?
I saw a meme that intrigued me so much, I didn't share it, but I opened it in a new tab on my laptop so I could actually research the story and bring it to light here. So I actually did a legit research on this fella.
What's the fella's name?
This fella's name is Edward Mordrake.
Edward Mordrake.
Ever heard of him?
Sounds foreign.
He is foreign. He was born in the 19th century in the 1800s.
Okay.
He was heir to an English peerage and had an extra face on the back of his head.
Sounds like some Harry Potter bullshit.
Well, the account that described him said his figure was remarkable. He's very graceful. His face was similar to that of Antonius, who's an ancient Greek god, basically. He was a Greek youth. He was favored or beloved of the Roman Emperor Hadrian, and he was deified after his death, being worshipped in both the Greek East and Latin West, sometimes as a god. So picture Hercules.
I looked in the mirror this morning.
Okay, now picture Hercules.
Damn it.
I looked in the mirror this morning too. Doesn't matter, irrelevant to this convo. So his figure, the way he held himself, very graceful, very polite, at a very early age. Aside from having a face on the back of his head, people knew he was special. He was very intelligent.
You know what else is special?
What?
That last drink of Virgil Kaine.
You got more. You just got to pour more.
Nope.
That's discipline. That's the definition of discipline.
Cannot.
I don't want more, but it's yours, and you could. But that is the definition of discipline right there.
That's so good.
It's very good.
All right. Anyway, sorry.
So Edward was born in the mid-1800s, very early age. He took very quickly to things such as playing piano.
Okay.
Very articulate, very well spoken, but troubled. This extra face on the back of his head was said to have a pair of eyes and a mouth that drooled, and that it appeared to be more female.
Okay, so he had symbiotic twin disorder.
Kind of, but just a face on the back of his head.
Right.
So the duplicate face appeared that it couldn't see, even though it had eyes that would move and function.
Okay.
Did not eat or speak out loud, but reports said that the face sneered when he was happy and smiled when he was weeping or visibly upset.
Okay.
So almost took pleasure in the fact that its host was tortured.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Hated when Edward was happy. So anytime that people gathered around him, friends, family, and all this, if he would play for them, anything he did that he enjoyed, like a normal young lad would, this face would get...
Resting bitch face.
Yeah. Look visibly angry.
Yeah.
So Mordrake, of course, repeatedly begged doctors to have his, what he called his demon face, removed. He claimed that it whispered things, in his words, one would only speak about in hell each night, but no doctor would attempt it. You got to think mid-1800s, how do you remove a face off the back of someone's head?
Well, right.
Especially a face that reacts.
I'm going
Doesn't
through the scientific stuff. Like, there's probably nerves and ocular nerves attached to the brain.
Yeah, I don't
even
know
though
where
we
you'd
can't
start.
see. I'm sure there's ocular nerves. There's
You didn't have the medical advancements in technology we do today.
exactly, and that's kind of where I'm going. Like, they don't know. They don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Like, they don't know, how to do any of that. And that sounds exactly like a symbiotic twin disorder, where it doesn't, even though it's just the face, symbiotic twin disorder is where there's another person basically living off of the other person. Whether it's, an arm, a leg, and a head sticking out, or it's just the face
Right.
sticking, off the
Something
side.
happened, yeah.
Yeah. And because it lives, it reacts, it does everything from what the host is doing. It reacts in some way. It lives because the host lives. I actually just listened to an episode of, it was either Lore or Cabinet of Curiosity, where they had talked about another famous gentleman who had a symbiotic twin.
Yeah. So the face was actually said to be quite beautiful looking as a young girl, but obviously Edward didn't feel that way.
Right.
Because it wouldn't talk, but it made these noises, these attempts.
Well, it probably talked to him.
And that's what he said is that
head.
night. Right. He said that he would hear this second face whispering things that just haunted him every night. The dude barely slept all through growing up. So he went to all the doctors, went to all the medical bullcrap and quackery that happened back then. His story has actually been popularized recently. But it started back in 1896, the medical encyclopedia called Anomalies and Curiosities of Medicine, co-authored by Dr. George M. Gould and Dr. David L. Pyle, including an account of him. It was copied from Hildreth's article. So he was in multiple reports and newspapers while he was alive, and then after his death, he was spoke of. The encyclopedia describes the basic morphology of his condition. It provides no medical diagnosis for the rare deformity. Such a birth defect might have been a form of craniopagus parasiticus. And in parentheses, that's described as a parasitic twin head with an undeveloped body, kind of like you were talking about.
Right.
That's a form of diprosopis, which is a bifurcated craniofacial duplication. Those are words that nobody expects to hear on the Buckhorn podcast.
Those are
Nor
big
can we
words.
say well. But basically, it's an extreme form of a parasitic twin. So as it was said in the Anomalies and Curiosities of Medicine, I'm going to read this as they wrote it. One of the weirdest as well as the most melancholy stories of human deformity is that of Edward Mordrake. Sometimes it's said Edward Mordrake. So he's said to have been the heir to one of the noblest peerages in England. He never claimed the title. He lived in complete seclusion, refusing the visits of even the members of his own family. He was a young man of fine attainments, a profound scholar, and a musician of rare ability. His figure was remarkable for its grace, and his face, that is to say his natural face, was that of Antonius.
So does it say anywhere about him basically wrapping his head in like a head wrap or a headdress of any kind?
Not
if
yet.
He went out?
Nope.
Okay.
It's kind of like, so picture, this is kind of like John Merrick. This is the Elephant Man.
Okay.
He didn't go out. He tried to avoid public. You're talking about a time when it's so easy to be fake now. We talk about on Instagram how people can make their lives look way more glamorous than they are.
Right.
Back then, you only had face-to-face interaction.
Yeah.
You could even take a selfie and send it to somebody.
Right.
So if you were to go out, he had
We couldn't
the
take
risk.
a photo without standing still for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Right, and here's the thing too. If you do go out and you do try to wrap your head, how do you cover the back face without wrapping around the front of your face?
Well,
even if you did,
they had there was turbans and other things.
Well, that's true.
You could
but
wear.
This face would react and make noises, open and shut the mouth. So it's not like it was just stoic. So it was more.
Gags.
Because otherwise, why not just grow long hair?
You have ball gags.
Ball gag. Anyway, continued on with the article, but upon the back of his head was another face, that of a beautiful girl, lovely as a dream, hideous as a devil. The female face was a mere mask, occupying only a small portion of the posterior part of the skull, yet exhibiting every sign of intelligence, of a malignant sort, however. It would be seen to smile and sneer while Mordrake was weeping. The eyes would follow the movements of the spectator, and the lips would gibber without ceasing. That's probably where your daughter got her own language.
Maybe.
No voice was audible, but Mordrake avers that he was kept from his rest at night by the hateful whispers of his, in quotes, devil twin, as he called it, which never sleeps but talks to me forever of such things as they can only speak of in hell. No imagine can conceive the dreadful temptations it sets before me. For some, don't do too much research till I'm done here. I see you Googling.
I'm just looking to see if there's any, if there'd be
I'm going to get into more.
a photo or something like that I can post at some point.
You'll have one.
Okay. Just keep going.
For some unforgiven weaknesses of my forefathers, I am knit to this fiend. For a fiend it surely is. I beg and beseech you to crush it out of human semblance, even if I die for it. So this thing tortured him so much that he was willing to die just to get rid of the demons that plagued him. Imagine your whole life never being able to sleep, never being able to have a steady stream of consciousness that wasn't interrupted by other thoughts. You didn't have this other face on the back of your head.
That's
it'd be hard to brush your teeth. Your other teeth, I think.
I wouldn't even worry about that if that was the case. But that's almost like a really bad case of multiple personality disorder.
Yeah.
Where you've got
with a literal face attached to it.
Yeah.
And attached to you.
Yeah. I mean, that's because there are cases where the person is, I don't want to say in most cases, I'm not a doctor. In cases that I've seen and read, the personalities don't know about each other. And then in some cases, they do know about each other. And then in other cases, the other personalities talk to the personality.
Right.
Literally fighting, to get out.
So you can imagine the mental strain this guy was under.
So he's under, that third case where it's obviously not multiple personality disorder, but he's got this case of multiple personality disorder, that's symbiotic twin disorder, of something talking to him in his head that no one else can hear because this thing has a conscience.
Right. Apparently its own stream of
its own
personality
and personality that can talk to him and only him. But
and it almost seems like the exact
noises.
opposite. So think about every time you're happy, it's mad. Every time you're mad, it's happy. So it almost seems
it's
like
happy that you're mad.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So this extra,
it sees everything that you're doing and
voice
can't
in your
do
head,
things.
Right, is literally constantly in your mind doing the opposite of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that you want rest, it wants you to stay up. You want to be happy, it wants you mad. So no matter what, it's always teasing you. It's always testing you.
Right.
So he basically
in a really shitty haunted house.
He begged to have. He said, I beg and beseech you to crush it out of human semblance, even if I die for it. Those are the words of the hapless Mordrake to Manvers and Treadwell, who were his physicians. In spite of careful watching, he managed to procure poison, whereof he died, leaving a letter requesting that the demon face might be destroyed before his burial, saying, lest it continue its dreadful whisperings in my grave.
Wow.
It plagued him so much that at 23 years old, he found a way to take his own life and wrote in his letter, his suicide note, please kill this thing after I die, because he was so worried that in death it would still plague him.
So I wonder what would happen if he tried to give it poison instead of him taking the poison.
Well, if you're in the same body, if you're the host body.
But most poison reacts based on getting into the stomach and into the bloodstream.
The only thing that they knew.
This thing doesn't have a stomach.
The only thing that they knew is that this face was attached and had some form of consciousness.
Right.
So I don't think that it didn't eat. So I don't even know if it needed. Well, no, I don't know if it would have worked.
But there's got to be a connection in some. This is my caveman brain. There's got to be a connection from its conscious thought to its mouth to make gurgly noises. Because, it's probably sharing the same brain, but if he had put the poison in its mouth, what would have happened?
He probably would have died still.
Maybe.
But we're assuming, too, that mouth was connected to the same digestive tract.
It's not.
Because if you...
but that's the thing. Like, what is it connected to? What would happen
know.
if he had just put the poison in its mouth?
I don't know.
I'm just asking the question. I don't know.
He was buried at his own request in a waste place without a stone or legend to mark his grave. He didn't even want to be known in death.
So no one knows where he is.
Nobody knows where he is. Nobody.
He's already probably been dug up in a house. A housing development's been built in that place.
What I saw was a meme of a picture of him from a profile, so you can see both faces. And it basically just gave a real quick description of who he was and that he committed suicide at 23.
Okay.
And I went, never heard of this dude. Now, I'm the guy, I love going to Ripley's Believe It or Not museums. I love
the weird
oddities.
Yeah.
Two-headed snakes and people, the world's tallest man, the world's shortest woman.
Which, if you want to create a two-headed snake, just get a snake and cut its head in two.
There you go.
It'll create a two-headed snake.
There you go.
The head will grow back on each one.
I don't think that's true.
It is.
Because when I cut the head off a snake before it died.
Not the head off of a snake. Cut the head down the middle of the snake.
We're going to have to test this theory.
The heads grow back.
We're going to test that.
Okay.
We'll get the girls involved, make it a science project.
Yeah.
So we'll use the cleaver too. Hi-ya!
Okay. I used it the other day.
Nice. I'm glad you're using it.
It worked really well for cutting up ham.
Good. So he killed himself. He's when I started researching him, I went, okay, I got to find out more about this.
Yeah.
Found the story, found the medical paper. He's actually been the subject of various texts, plays, and songs. So I've got a short list here.
Well, it's a shame that they don't know where he was buried or did not follow his instruction to bury him the way that he wanted buried to be a science anomaly.
Yeah. He was, he wanted, the thing was, he didn't want to be known and he wanted the face destroyed.
That's fine, but...
We don't know what happened after that.
From science, I just wouldn't follow any of that.
You'd say, screw that. We're going to see what happened here.
Right. I mean, it's science.
So I got farther into research and found out he's been the subject of a lot of different papers and songs. He was featured as the, quote, 2 very special cases on a list of 10 people with extra limbs or digits in the 1976 edition of the Book of Lists. Never heard of that.
Never heard of that.
Tom Waits, I have heard of, wrote a song about him titled Poor Edward for his album Alice in 2002. That's more recent.
That is.
I was sitting there going, 2000. Okay, I graduated high school in 2001. I'd never heard of this dude. I know who Tom Waits is. In 2001, Spanish writer Irene Garcia published I'm going to butcher this, Mordrake o la condición infame.
You didn't butcher it as much as I would have.
A novel based on his story. So he had a whole novel written about him. He's been in a song. And a U.S. thriller film entitled Edward Mordrake, and based on the story, is reportedly in development. Intended release date has not been provided. 3 episodes in the FX anthology series American Horror Story Freak Show, Edward Mordrake Part 1, Edward Mordrake Part 2, and Curtain Call feature the character, played by Wes Bentley.
It did?
Yep.
Really?
Quit researching.
Well, no. Now I'm interested because I watched American Horror Story. And
Okay, wait till I get to the end. We're almost there.
I don't remember that.
According to this, there was one on him. A short film based on the story entitled Edward the Damned was released in 2016. The Two-Faced Outcast is another novel about Edward Mordrake. Again, some say Mordrake, some say Mordrake. Originally written in Russian in 2012 through 2014 and published in 2017 by Helga Royston. 2 more facts. Canadian metal band Viathin released a song called Edward Mordrake on their 2014 album Sinosaur. And Irish quartet girl band song Shoulder Blades, released in 2019, features the lyrics, "It's like a hat for Ed Mordrake." So I'd never heard of this guy before I saw this meme floating around. Did a whole lot of research, and obviously I'm intrigued. I've got so many questions as you do, right?
Right.
So I did a lot of Googling. I texted you and said, hey, I've got a topic we got to cover. This is fascinating. I've never heard. Why have I not heard of this guy? And in my research, you know what I found out?
He didn't exist at all.
He didn't exist.
Is that the truth?
That's the God's honest truth.
He didn't exist. Because
That's
I was
God's
joking when I
honest
said
truth.
that.
And I almost got upset because I saw one of the things you pulled up on the screen was Snopes. He really didn't exist.
Oh, see, I just
We cannot
clicked on the
factually
link.
prove he existed.
Now, the American Horror Story piece. Okay, so here. Oh, okay, and I remember this guy. Right. But I don't remember him. Okay, yep, I do. Okay.
You remember it now? Now you're seeing screenshots?
I remember it. Yeah. It was creepy. American Horror Story is such a good show. It just started back up again, too.
So
okay.
according to Snopes, the morbid story fascinated readers and
There you
rapidly gained popularity as a literal account, despite the fact the article's author was a known writer of fiction. In fact, the story of the cursed nobleman was so widely accepted that his condition appeared in an 1896 medical encyclopedia. The tome was co-authored by 2 respected physicians, since they recounted the original newspaper story in full without any additional details. It gave an air of added authority to his tale. So this all came from a fictional newspaper story that a guy wrote. These medical doctors in 1896 basically took it and said, yeah, this is the story.
Okay.
Since it was 2 known doctors that were legitimate doctors, everybody went, oh, that's real.
But that's not to say that it couldn't happen.
I'm not saying that it couldn't.
It has happened.
But not this way.
But not this.
This was spun.
Because we're looking at Snopes.
And that's the picture that you see right now was the one that I saw with the script.
That's a mummified head. And
that's a wax head.
Yeah.
It's a carved. Yeah, that's not even real.
Yeah.
If you read the description.
You're awful. Internet, you suck. So what is this?
So that's also a fake head.
That's a fake head.
They're all fake. Every
They're
single
fake.
picture you see, none of them are real.
Not even this one? What is
Nothing's
that?
real.
Creepypasta. El Hombre de Dos Carsa. What is this? Give me the website. I don't want that picture. I want the website. That's a YouTube thing. This is now I'm disappointed. Now I'm on a mission. I gotta find
all
this.
that build up to find out this guy's not real.
He's not even real. This is horseshit.
And there's a lot of pictures on him and a lot of info. Now, according to Snopes, it says less modern readers think they are so much wiser than their Victorian forebears that they could never be taken in by such an absurd tale, which you were taken in just by me telling it.
Well, because I know that
I was taken in by a meme.
But you were taken in by a meme. These are things that I haven't looked into this particular one, but I know about symbiotic twins.
And I'm about to get into that too.
Because there is symbiotic twins.
So this says basically though, but before people think that they're smarter.
And this is Quill, Professor Quill from Harry Potter.
Oh, okay. I've not seen Harry Potter.
On the left side, the picture we're looking at, this is Professor Quill on the left. This is Voldemort on the right.
Okay.
he attached himself to the back of Professor Quill's head.
Oh.
So when you said he had a, I'm like,
That's why you said
this
Harry
is
Potter.
What Harry Potter. This is the thing that I'm thinking of.
But this picture, with just the short description of he had 2 heads, the one German saying he killed himself, has gone viral.
Well, now I got to find the meme.
It's not the first time the photo of a cursed nobleman has seen the public's attention. However, like all the others, it's far from authentic. So the picture that I was telling you about, it's a papier-mâché artist imagining of what he might have looked like.
And I think my internet just went down.
The artist went on record saying he created it entirely for entertainment purposes. So the pictures you're seeing out there are either wax or papier-mâché. But here's where we get into the truth. Even the most fantastic stories do contain a small grain of truth. The medical condition known as craniofacial duplication, which is the result of abnormal protein expression, can cause the facial features of an embryo to be duplicated. It's an extremely rare condition and usually lethal, but there are recent documented cases of infants who managed to survive a short time with the mutation. One of them being Lali Singh, who was born back in 2008. Far from thinking the child had been cursed like Edward, residents of her tiny village believed her to be
I
an
just
incarnation.
Googled Lali Singh, and she doesn't look like she has another face attached to her.
Well, you didn't spell it right. You're looking up a totally different person, that's why.
Because she's hot.
That looks like a model or an actress. L-A-L-I.
Oh, L-A-L-I.
Now you're getting some Japanimation crap.
Yeah.
S-I-N-G-H.
G-H. All right. Don't spell it L-O-L-L-I-S-I-N.
There you go.
Well, that's just creepy.
She was the resident of her village believed her to be an incarnation of the Hindu goddess Durga, who's portrayed with multiple limbs. After she died, when she was only a few months old, the villagers constructed a temple in her honor. So yes, this is a condition, but it is not Edward Mordrake. It is a meme that's floating around on the internet as I speak, on Facebook. I saw it on mine, and it is bullcrap. Don't believe everything you see on the internet, people.
That's right. I'm a little disappointed that it wasn't real.
I know. And that's why I didn't tell you who it was before, because I knew you'd do like me and Google it and then find out.
I probably wouldn't have went that deep into it. I would look for pictures. But like I'm doing
Yeah, but
now.
if you saw that Snopes article, which you found quickly.
I did find it pretty, but I didn't read any of it. Even as you were going through everything,
right.
I didn't read any of it. I just kind of like pulled it up.
It really got me, because I was doing the research. I went to Wikipedia, and Wikipedia did say it was fictional, thankfully. But I'd first found a lot of the accounts of it before I found it was fake. It didn't take me long to find it was fake. As soon as I saw Snopes pop up, I went, crap. But I was kind of hoping Snopes would say it was real.
And now I'm just going down a rabbit hole.
Oh, now you're looking up weird crap.
I don't even know. That's a hand.
Not a healthy hand.
No, it's nowhere near. Oh, what the hell
I'm getting
is
a
that?
headache again.
It's on.
My second head is taunting me.
What is this? Looks like a dolphin in a womb.
That's a baby in
a duffel bag
with legs. Dude, you're looking up weird crap. Just close that browser.
No, this is Morbid Curiosities, a collection of the uncommon and bizarre. This is a book that you can get on the Amazon that I want to order that I haven't ordered yet. And this book is, and because of what you talked about, this is a book of collection of famous people who buy weird and random shit. So, which led me to this to see if someone had found his head. Like, there's all kinds of weird, and this is I'll look into this stuff like all day, because it's like, this is the stuff that is weird that Ripley's won't even look at, because it's beyond Ripley's, which is saying something. So, yeah, this is, I'm more speechless right now than anything else, because I'm just fascinated by what I'm seeing on my screen. I'm more disappointed that he's not real, and that it's all a hoax in the 1800s.
Yep. 1800s trolling using a newspaper to share memes.
See, even trolls were real back then. Trolls are assholes. We should start trolling people on this podcast.
I think we do.
Do we?
I don't know.
Send us money.
Send us money. Brandon.Martell.
Brandon.Martell on Venmo. Send us money. We'll make the show better. Maybe. We'll just buy more expensive
No,
bourbon.
we'll just tell you more fake stories.
Yeah, more fake
Make
stories.
you believe crap.
I was into it. Like
I know
was
you were.
fucking into it.
And I actually put time into writing something so
Shit.
it will draw people in. I had a college professor tell me I should be a writer. This is the extent of what I use my talent for.
I had
a
so
research
into it.
paper she wanted to use for a student sample because she said it was so well written and the research was done so well. And what do? Tell lies on podcasts.
Right.
That's what I use my writing skills for. Thanks, Professor.
I've only ever verbally argued my way out of argumentative writing.
Awesome.
There was no need for it to be in that stupid-ass class. Now I realize I should have taken it, but I didn't want to be at school, so.
You know what's funny? The paper I wrote that she wanted to use, so it was argumentative essay. She used a student example called Please Quit Smoking. This is at a Christian university, and it detailed all the reasons why you should quit smoking. The litter, the problems in the environment, the secondhand smoke, the health issues. So guess what I wrote my paper on? I wrote a paper
on why you should smoke.
Titled Please Keep Smoking. And it talked about how childhood obesity kills more kids than secondhand smoke does. And how litter from pop bottles and McDonald's wrappers is far worse than the amount of cigarette butts. Like, I had to do a ton of deep research. And this was back in the early, mid-2000s. There wasn't as much easily findable info. And by the end, because I had people in the class talking about, yeah, everybody should quit smoking and blah, blah, blah. And if you smoke, then you're a bad person. And I was like, this is dumb. So I went out of my way to prove them all wrong. And the entire class afterwards went, okay. I talked about, here's what's funny.
Jerk.
It was it was an adult class, 13 people in the class. I took note of what vehicles they drove and looked up the emissions on them.
He doesn't
and use
care
those in my paper.
About the environment.
No, they didn't say that. Nobody said that.
He doesn't care about humanity. We should shun him.
What are you talking about?
Cancel culture.
That's not what happened at all.
I know, because it wasn't a thing back then.
Anyway, that's why I wrote my paper on, and I don't know how long she used it, but
maybe she's still using it.
Yeah, I went out of my way to write up a script today, which we never do.
No.
And
we're an unscripted show, and you wrote a script?
I did.
You're fired.
Okay.
Come back next weekend.
Right. Nope.
Shit.
I'm fired.
All right. You're not fired anymore.
All right. Good to be back.
Come back next weekend. All right. I'm done. You out? We out? We're out?
We are out like Edward Mordrake at 23 years old.
Which means we didn't exist.
Right.
Ever.
Do. This podcast is a joke. It's a farce. It's a fart of your imagination.
It's definitely a fart.
Up and vanished like a fart in the wind. We never existed. But thanks for listening.
Yeah. We love you people. We love all of you. So if you'd like to hear more of this, send us donations.
At?
Brandon.Martell on Venmo. You can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and the Twitter. Wow. Brain fart. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Insta, Google, Tweetstagram.
You can send us an email at buckhornpodcast@gmail.com. Send us messages.
Send us money.
Love. Tell us why you hate us. Tell us why you love us. Send us money. Send us Bitcoin. Send us whatever.
If you want our bodies.
And you think
we're
Randy's sexy. Just let him know. Anyway. Till next weekend. We are out. I'm Martell. He's Randy.
Peace.
Pinkies up.
Discipline is your best friend. It will take care of you like nothing else can. Jocko Wilkins.
Okay, do it again, but read his name right. Because Willink is definitely not Wilkins. Like, if we're going to quote people, we got to get their name right, if nothing else.
Discipline is your best friend. It'll take care of you like nothing else can. Jocko Willick. Fuck. Fuck.
That's it. Perfect.
Willick. Discipline is your best friend. It'll take care of you like nothing else can. Jocko Willick. Willink. Damn it!
Dude, this has to be one of those things where every time you mess up, get the name, boop, you read it again.
Willink.
Read it again.
Willink. Jocko Willink. Jocko Willink. Discipline is your best. Fucking goddamn it.
Oh, you got to do some editing on this because little clips of this would be hilarious.
Son of a bitch.